Hi everyone. In this video, I want to show you in practice a really good, effective strategy to practice your English, to practice listening comprehension and verbal communication. Now, I really hope that you have watched one of my last videos about the virtuous circle, the wondrous loop or the virtuous circle, through which you can really maximize and hone your communication skills, or you can just start from the scratch and learn English. And that, I tell you that the virtuous circle is the only process through which you can really polish your linguistic skills. It is when you get your input skills, your listening and your reading from the environment, and then you analyze the information and you go over the information and you do whatever you can with that information, and then you turn it into your output, which means you speak about it, you give an account of it, which means you describe it, you recount it, or you summarize it, you paraphrase it, you tell someone about it, you write about it, you ask questions about it using all those words and expressions. Now, a really good way of using materials, input skills, is the things that you're interested in, that you are passionate about, you find intriguing and gripping. Sometimes talks and lectures are really good sources. Now, what we're going to do with this, for me to show you in practice, how you can really practice your linguistic skills, your verbal skills, and all those skills that I referred to, is to use the context, go over the vocabulary words and some grammar structures probably. For that, it is ideal if you have the transcript of what you're using. So we can go over the transcript, we can scan through the transcript. You don't need to read everything carefully in order to understand and analyze everything. You just need to skim through it or scan through it and pick out some of the words in order to look up in a good dictionary or learn the meanings of, to prepare yourself for the actual material, for the actual context. And then once you see the use of those words in the context, and you probably know which part of speech of the word is used. And if you haven't watched that video about part of speech, go and do that, because it's a very important factor and element of a word. We have 8 different parts of speech in English, and it is important to know whether a word is a noun or an adjective or a verb or a preposition. It's really important because sometimes one word has multiple parts of speech, and it's really important to know which one. So you take out the words, you go over their meanings, and then you listen to the talk or the lecture or the conversation or the series or the movie or whatever, or you read the text carefully and thoroughly, and you see the actual use of those words that you have just analyzed and studied in practice. Okay? And then you try putting the whole thing into your own words and recount it and give an account of it and tell others about it. You can record your own voice and you can do all those amazing practices. Okay? Now, let's see this in practice. I've chosen some of the words from a very short section of a talk by Dr. Jordan Peterson. I'm a big fan of his. I mean, most of his ideas, and all of his ideas, but most of them. And he's a clinical psychologist, and he's a motivational, inspirational speaker, and he has a lot of really nice, insightful, useful ideas. Now, let's go over some of the words from this context, and then we're going to watch that piece of that section of the talk with all these words, and then I'll try putting this into my own words using all these keywords. Okay? I promise I haven't practiced before. Okay? And I'm not sure if I'll do a good job, but we'll see. So let's start with the vocabulary words. Okay? So we're going to go over the words. We're not going to go over them too deeply. We're not going to analyze them too deeply. Just probably the part of speech and a few synonyms or definitions. So the first one is focus. Focus could be both a noun and a verb. We can focus on something if you use it as a verb, or you put your focus on something. So as a verb, to focus on something means to involve yourself in it, to concentrate on it, to consider it as your priority or engagement. So to focus on something means to put all your attention and mental energy into something. And as a noun, your focus is your concentration or your attention, or sometimes your intention. The next word is too much. What is the part of speech of too much? What is the part of speech of too much? Is it an adverb? Yes, it is. Is it also a quantifier? What is a quantifier? A quantifier is a word that you use before a noun to show its quantity, to show how much or how many it is. So for example, we can say too much pride, too much arrogance, too much money. We can never have too much money. Or too much energy or waste. Or I can use it as an adverb. You can say she sleeps too much, or she complains too much, or some people gossip too much. Now, the next word is a phrasal verb, take away. To take something away means to remove it, to separate it, to get rid of it sometimes. Okay? It's a phrasal verb. It's a two-part verb. The next word is meaningful. It's an adjective. Meaningful sometimes means significant, deep, profound, insightful. Okay? Something that's not shallow or meaningless or insignificant. These are the antonyms, the opposites. Now, the noun for meaningful is meaning. Meaning means significance. And the verb is mean. If something means something, it has a certain connotation or sense or significance. The next word is aim, because in this we're going to have both aim as a verb and aim as a noun. So to aim for something is a verb, and then aim is a noun. To aim for something means to have something as your target or intention or goal, to want to achieve something, to want to gain something, to seek something, S-E-E-K, to seek something, to go for something, to set your eyes or set your sight on something, to set your mind on something. All these expressions mean to have a certain goal or target or objective. And then aim as a noun is your target or objective or intention or purpose. So you have a certain aim, you have a certain objective, purpose, intention, or you aim for something. You go for something. And then we have this adjective, productive. Pay attention to the pronunciation of it. Again, this is a schwa sound. It's not productive, it's pr. This O is a. Productive means something that is useful, helpful, beneficial, advantageous, something that will have good results and good outcomes and good results. Again, when you can't think of another synonym, you just rehash what you said. Now, productive is the adjective for produce. Again, in the verb produce, after C we have an E at the end. the O is a schwa sound. We say to produce something means to make or create something. And then production is the noun. So when something, a process or a strategy or a method or a way of doing something is productive, it produces a lot of good results. The next word is an expression. Your best bet. So bet here is both an a noun and a verb. You bet on something, or you bet against someone or something. You bet your money on something. So that's a verb. And then the noun, you place or put a bet on something. So it's a noun. In this expression, it's a noun. And this expression, if something is your best bet, it means it's the best possible thing that you can do. Okay? It is used when you want to give someone advice or recommendation or suggestion. You say, this is your best bet. Your best bet is to talk to him. It means this is the best thing you can do. It's my advice, my recommendation, my suggestion to you. Now, the next one is also another expression. Do the trick. If something does the trick, it means it will produce a good result. It will be beneficial. It will work. If something does the trick, or it will do the trick, depending on the tense, it means it will have good productive results. Okay? Now, trick here is a noun that means a trap, deception, deceit. We also have another noun from it. We say trickery. If you add ERY, E-R-Y, to this noun, trickery is another noun that means the use of deception and lies and untruth to mislead people and fool people. It is also a verb. To trick someone means to fool someone. Now, the next word is fight. What's the part of speech of fight? Is it a noun or is it a verb? It is both. A fight as a battle or a conflict, or sometimes it means an argument. If you have a fight with someone, you have a verbal argument. Sometimes it means a battle. Sometimes it means boxing, that sport. I don't know. I don't understand it, but it's a sport in which people punch and hit and hurt each other. So boxing is also called a fight, and it is also a verb. When we say to fight something or someone, you can say to fight someone or to fight with someone. So if you fight with someone, you argue with them verbally or physically. You hit them and strike them and punch them and kick them. Or sometimes it means to try really hard to do something. So for example, when you say you fight for your life, it means you try to stay alive, okay? Or you fight for the medal, for the achievement, or for the award. If you fight for it, you try really hard for it, okay? And the next one is dragon. This O is either a schwa sound or you try not to pronounce it. It's a better way of putting it, right? When you say you're trying not to pronounce it. So I would say dragon. Gun, it's not gen or gon. Dragon. A dragon is an imaginary creature in stories and mythology, which is like a big imaginary creature with wings, and it breathes out fire. Okay, Ejdeha, for people who know what that is. And then we have this expression, clinical practice. So clinical is the adjective for clinic. A clinic is part of the hospital or a facility in which people get treated for their problems. Clinical could be related to clinic. It also has other meanings. Sometimes it means related to the treatment of diseases or related to trials and testing for the treatment of diseases. It also has another very different meaning. If you say someone says something clinically, okay, it is a completely different meaning. It means unemotionally. So sometimes clinical means unemotional. Impassive, if you're impassive, you are dispassionate, you are unemotional, you are unmoved. Unmoved also means unemotional and not letting your emotions affect you. Sometimes it's a neutral word, sometimes it's a little negative, sometimes it could be positive, okay? If you're supposed to be rational and sensible and not emotional and sensitive, then it could be a positive thing. So that was clinical. And then we have practice. Practice with this spelling in American English is both a noun and a verb, okay? In British English, the verb is spelled with an S at the end, okay? Practice could have different meanings. Sometimes it means training, okay? Sometimes it means the job of a doctor or sometimes a lawyer. So the job of a doctor or a lawyer is practice. So clinical practice. Now, the next word is undergo. What do you think the part of the speech of this is? Undergo. Is it a verb? Yes, it is. If you undergo something, what do you think it means? To undergo testing or to undergo an interview, to undergo an experience. It means to experience something, to have something happen to you. So if something happens to you, if you experience it, you undergo it. The past form of undergo is underwent. I underwent a lot of hardship a few years ago, months ago, days ago, weeks ago. And then we have this adjective, vicious. So this C is pronounced like sh. Sometimes C is pronounced like sh. C in general has 5 different sounds. So sometimes, like when you say ocean, it's pronounced like sh. So vicious is the adjective, whenever a word ends in O-U-S, and it's always pronounced S, not us or os. People from some linguistic backgrounds, some nationalities, tend to pronounce this like us, but it's never us if it's at the end of the word, okay? So OU in general has, let me show you if you don't know how many 7 is, has 7 different sounds, OU. But at the end of adjectives, it's always S. So vicious is the adjective for vice. Do you know the meaning of vice? Vice has quite a few very different meanings. Not quite a few, but like 2 very different meanings. Sometimes if you say a vice president, that has a very different meaning than when you say vice and virtue. So vice as a noun means evil, bad, okay, nasty, pernicious. So vicious means evil, bad, horrible, nasty, pernicious, okay? So vicious. And then the next one is a word with 2 different pronunciations. You see, these are stress positions. So it could be incline. Let's disregard this for now. It could be incline or incline. You remember the video? Hopefully you've watched that video, and if you haven't, I highly recommend that you go and watch it. It's about words with the same spelling, but 2 different stress positions, hence 2 different pronunciations and 2 different meanings and parts of speech. So everything about the word changes. Now, an incline is a slope, like a bending route or way or whatever. So a slope is an incline. And then to incline could have different meanings. If you're inclined to do something, so this ed, this is what we have in the talk, inclined. Inclined is an adjective that means when you are likely to do something. So for example, some people are more inclined to lie. It means they have that inclination or proclivity. If you have heard that word, proclivity, inclination, tendency So if you're inclined to lying or to lie, it means you tend to lie. You tend to lie. You lie. It means you lie. Okay? So if you are inclined to do something, you do it. You're likely to do it. It's more probable that you do it. You remember we had another phrasal verb with take. That was take away. To take out has different meanings. Sometimes it could also be a noun, take out. It could also be take away. So take away as a noun and take out as a noun are synonymous. It means food that you get from a restaurant to eat at home. Okay, so you get takeout or takeaway. Takeaway is mostly British. It means food that you get from a restaurant to eat at home. To take out as a verb could have different meanings. The first one, if you take something out from the library, you borrow a book, you get a book from the library, or you withdraw money from your bank account. So you take out money, it means you withdraw money from your bank account. It also means to just take something out, to take something out of your pocket, out of your bag, out of anything. It also has a very negative meaning. If you take someone out or you take something out, you get rid of it. You kill them, you destroy them. You want to eliminate them and crush them and destroy them. So it has a negative meaning. Another expression, at someone's disposal. If you have something at your disposal, it means you have it available to you. Okay? So if you have something at your disposal, you have it available to you. Disposal is the act of getting rid of something, is the act of throwing something out. But to have something at your disposal, it means it's there for you, it's accessible, it's available, you can use it anytime you want to. Now, I have more words for you, but we're going to pause here and then we're going to listen to the first probably few sentences that he utters. So all these words are from just a few sentences. And then we're going to have another word with each other. And then I'm going to make another video to continue this conversation with the rest of the talk so that you know the best way to practice your English. Okay? So let's watch this and listen to this together. So it starts with, we focus on
happiness too much. And the problem with that is that it takes our focus away from aims that would be more productive. It's much better to aim for meaning than for happiness. Best bet is truth. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's always going to do the trick. Right? I mean, sometimes you go fight a dragon and it eats you. And if you being eaten wasn't a real possibility, it wouldn't be a real fight. And so you see people, like I've seen people in my clinical practice sometimes. I had one client in particular who was undergoing a particularly vicious divorce with someone who was really seriously inclined to take him out and would do pretty much everything at her disposal to do so. And I strategized with him for about 3 years.
Now we're going to pause here and I'm going to try and use all those words that I heard in that talk and to put what he said into my own words. Okay? So I need to remind myself of some of the words. But he starts with saying that we focus on things that take away our focus. That was a very bad sentence. That's almost embarrassing. So we focus too much on the things that take away our happiness. Okay? Instead of focusing on happiness, we need to focus on meaningfulness. Life needs to be meaningful, but we focus on other things instead. So it's more productive if we aim for something that's meaningful rather than something that's supposed to bring you happiness. So meaningfulness versus happiness. You should aim for meaningfulness. And then it says it's more productive. So your best bet in that process is to go for the truth. So the truth is always better, is always the more ideal choice. And sometimes the truth doesn't do the trick. So sometimes it's not successful. You tell the truth, but it has negative outcomes for you. So, and then he makes an example of one of his clients, who's a clinical psychologist, and he says, I had a client who was fighting to get, I don't remember. Oh, he says, okay, you remember, I should have practiced this, seriously. But you can see how we can first stumble and then succeed, right? I'm the best example for that, so you can follow my lead. So fight your dragons. Sometimes you fight dragons. Dragon is the archetype or the symbol or the representative of your shadow side in psychology, of your negative side, okay? Your demons, the evil out there, tragedies and hardship sometimes in the outside world, and sometimes your own shadow side and your own demons. So sometimes you want to fight the dragon, but you can succeed. And then he makes the example of the client who was going through a vicious, horrible divorce, and his wife, his ex-wife, hopefully, or maybe, wanted to take him out. Did you hear that? To take him out. And he wanted to do something with whatever she had at her disposal, whatever she had available to her, to take him out. Okay? So I used some of those words, I didn't use inclined or the other ones, to recount what Peterson said. Okay? So that way you can really practice your speaking. You can integrate all these words into your own speaking, and little by little, when you want to actually use these words in the real world, it can do a great job. Okay? So I'm going to be here with you with another episode of this. I'm going to continue talking about these words, and then we're going to listen to the rest of the talk, and I'll try putting that into my own words again, but probably with better focus and concentration. Okay? So thank you for being here, and bye-bye for now. Hi guys, in this video I want to tell you about the most common vowel sound in English. Do you know what a vowel sound is? We have 14 of them in English. A sound like o, ow, oo, e. These are vowel sounds. Do you know how many letters we have in English? How many vowel letters we have? We have 5 of them. So it's really important to differentiate between sounds and letters in English, because as you're going to see, we have one letter sometimes with a lot of different sounds it represents. Okay, so this schwa sound, which is the most common vowel sound, this has its own symbol, has its own name. The schwa sound is this. You open your mouth a little bit, you produce this little tiny short sound, unstressed, and it is the most common vowel sound. So, now, before we talk about all these different examples of the schwa sound that is represented by a lot of different vowel letters, we are going to first focus on 3 different letters, vowel letters, and all the different sounds they represent. And then we're going to zoom in on the schwa sound. Okay? So first, we're going to start with this vowel letter, U, and I'm going to tell you how many different sounds this can have. Okay? So sometimes when you see this letter U, like in Uber, student, presume, it sounds like ooh. Sometimes it sounds like eh, like when we say turn, turn, urge. Sometimes it sounds like the schwa sound. So this is that, the most common sound, and we're going to see more examples of that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. A little bit of promotion for me here. So it's not subscribe, it's subscribe. Sometimes it sounds like nothing, so it's silent. We have a lot of silent letters in English. This is one of them. Like when we say tongue, or guilty, or building, build, or this one. Do you know what this is? It's not the first U. I hope you can see this. It's the second U. When we say luxury, so it's the first U is A, like in this, ugly, utter. Again, I have this here too. So the first U in luxury is A. The second one is kind of silent. You could also pronounce it like a schwa sound, but mostly it's not pronounced. So it's luxury. Okay? Now, sometimes it sounds like you, like when we say utopia or value. It's like you. Sometimes it sounds like it. Like when we say busy, and it's not busy. Okay? A lot of people, especially fellow citizens of mine, mispronounce this. It's not busy, it's busy. Very short. Business, busy. And sometimes it sounds like what? Like a W sound, or a sound that mostly letter W represents. So sometimes it sounds like what? Like when we say question or language. Okay? So it has this what sound, question, quote, quotation. Now, let's talk about the schwa sounds that this letter has in some different words, okay? Let's talk about some examples of words with letter U that are a lot of times mispronounced. So hopefully you will not mispronounce these anymore. So the first one, this is actually a pattern because it's a suffix. You know what a suffix is? Part of the word that you add to another word. So this in adjectives is always pronounced like full. It's not full, it's full, full. So it's a schwa sound, right? So we say awful, or insightful, or what is this? Resentful, or painful, useful. Do you know why I underlined this? Because it's not z. A lot of people say useful. It's not useful, it's useful, useful. And what is this? Faithful. So faithful, cheerful. Cheerful means happy. Awful means terrible. Insightful means deep and profound. Resentful means full of hatred and rage and anger. And painful means something that aches. And useful means good, helpful, productive. Okay, so it's not full, it's full, full. Another word. This is the adjective for the word luxury that we just had. So in the noun, it's luxury. In the adjective, I wrote it for people who can read this because it is so commonly mispronounced. So I just wanted to have a little bit of help or joke here, whatever, either way. It's luxurious. It's look. So it has the g sound X. Sometimes has letter X. Sometimes has this x sound. So k and s. and sometimes has this g sound. So you never know. I mean, you have to know, you have to learn, okay? So this is luxurious. So this is u, this is a. Luxurious. Luxurious. Okay? So it's not luxury. And then we have this word again, subscribe. Subscribe. To subscribe has two different meanings. One is to agree with an idea or to support an idea or to have a certain mindset or perspective. So we can say, I subscribe to the view that, it means I believe that, I support that, I'm an advocate of that. And it also means to pay in order to get a magazine or newspaper, or it also means to be a member of YouTube or other social media platforms. So to subscribe. And we also have subscription. Subscription. This is success. It's not suck. It's sick. 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 Success. Success. Successful. Succeed. The verb. Succeed. The adjective. Successful. And the noun. Success. Then we have this. So why did I write this 2 times? Am I crazy? I mean, I might be, but this has a reason, okay? Because like the last video that we had about different stress positions, this could also have that. These are 2 different words. If the stress is on the first syllable, we say subject, okay? So it sounds like subject, the stress in the beginning. And the subject of something is the topic or the theme or the gist of it, okay? It also has other meanings. The subject of your sentence. And then if the stress falls on the second syllable, this is reduced and becomes a schwa sound. So we say subject. Subject. Subject is a verb that means to affect something by something else or to expose something to something else. So for example, we can say to subject children to maltreatment. It means to have them experience that or to affect them by that or to give them that kind of experience or treatment. Okay? So to subject someone to something. Subject and subject. What's another example of that? Like we had in that last video. We say to upset, so the stress on the second syllable as an adjective and a noun. So as a verb, as an adjective and as a verb. As a verb, we say upset. To upset someone means to sometimes annoy them or irritate them or anger them, make them angry, or sometimes it means to make them sad and depressed. So something upsets you, it means it makes you feel bad. It puts you in a bad mood. And then as an adjective, it also has those 2 different meanings. Sometimes if you're upset with someone, it means you're angry with them. And sometimes if you're upset, it means you're distraught and anguished and disturbed. Upset is a noun that means problems and suffering and misery and hardship. Okay, so the upset, the upsets of life means the problems and misery and suffering. What's another example? Again, what is this? What is this? Sometimes if the stress is in the beginning, it's buffet. Buffet could be a verb that means to hit or to strike, sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally, okay? So for example, you can say he was buffeted by hardship, by life's upset, or you can say the wind buffeted the mountain. It means it hit it, okay? Or struck it. Struck is the past form of strike. And if the stress is on the second syllable, it's buffet. Buffet, you know what it is? It's like a service, a food that you can take whatever you want, right? Or you serve your own self. Serve your own self. That's a peculiar sentence. Now, let me tell you about another letter and the different sounds it represents. This letter, how many different sounds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sounds. So let's start with this. This is our schwa sound. We're going to see more examples of that. Like when you say pronunciation, it's not pronunciation, guys. It's pronunciation. Pronunciation. You pronounce something, also the verb, pronounce, pronounce, pronunciation. This is a schwa sound. This is a, pronunciation. Sometimes it sounds like o. So o sounds like o, a very short o. Like when we say to, sometimes this to sounds like a schwa sound, this o. So to, woman, we'll say woman. This is wolf, the animal, and also a verb. To wolf food down means to eat a lot of something. I have that. I talk about that in the video that is about animals that are also verbs. And then sometimes it sounds like ah, like when I say nothing, mother, money, tongue. Sometimes it sounds like ooh. It's a long ooh. This is a short ooh. This is a long one. Like when we say who or womb. This B is also silent. So womb is part of a woman's body in which a baby is grown. So a uterus. Or do, womb, who. So sometimes it sounds like ooh. Sometimes it sounds like oh, like orange or organize or. Sometimes, what is this? Sometimes it's silent. It sounds like nothing. For example, when you say favorite, it's not favorite, it's favorite. It's chocolate, chocolate. Okay, so in some languages, people pronounce it like chocolate. It is not that, it's chocolate. This O is completely silent. Comfortable, comfortable, comfortable. So this OR is silent. Sometimes it sounds like O, like okay or go, or what is this? No, go or no. Sometimes it sounds like aw, like when you say bomb again, this B is silent, like this B in womb. So bomb, aw, like project, like pop, copy, okay? Now, let's go over some other examples of the schwa sound with letter O. This is combine, combine. To combine means to mix. It's not combine, it's combine. This is communicate. Communicate means to interact, to talk, to converse. This is a lot of times pronounced like a schwa sound. We say to go, to do, to have. So it's a schwa sound a lot of times. This is of. A lot of times it's of some of those people, one of my friends, one of, and this is also v, not f. This is computer, computer. Now, this could be two words, content and content. Content is an adjective that means satisfied, and content is something that's inside something else. So, two very different words. This is tomorrow. Tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. Tomorrow. This is police. Police. The stress is here, so this is unstressed. Police. These two words, again, they could be two very different words. An object is an animate thing. an item. And then to object means to complain, to say that you're unhappy with something. So to object, up, and an object. And then connect. Let's connect with each other. Okay? Now, the last one. This letter, A, could have all these different sounds. Sometimes it sounds like A, like blatant, or danger, or Danish. You see, this Danish with a capital D means the language or people of Denmark. And with a small d, it means a kind of pastry, right? Sometimes it sounds like O, like when we say warm, warm. Sometimes it sounds like ah, when we say mad, sad, glad. These are our primary feelings. Sometimes it's silent, like when we say eventually. It's not eventually, it's eventually. Or actually, actually. Sometimes it sounds like oh, call, or awesome. And these are the schwa examples. Like when we say banal. Banal means boring or uninteresting. Addition. Addition. Additional. Acquire. To acquire means to gain. To achieve. Now, some more examples with A that sounds like a schwa sound. Let's take a look at this. Banana. Banana. You see, whenever the word ends in an A sound, not whenever, but 99.9% of the time, when a word ends in letter A, it sounds like a schwa sound. We say banana, pasta, pizza, California. Another example, this beginning A, we say addiction. Addiction. It's not addiction, it's addiction. Another one. You know, 90% of the time, this word is pronounced like can. We say, I can do that. Can you do that? It's not can you do that. It's can you do that? And a lot of times, if people misunderstand you when you use this word, it is because you're saying instead of Can you do that? I can do that. If you want to emphasize, you say but if you don't want to emphasize, you say can. Majority means most of. Now, the last example is a word that could be pronounced two different ways. It could be affect or affect. We talked about that in the last video. So I highly recommend that you go watch that, because in that, I also tell you another very important pronunciation point, which is stress. For now, I'm going to say goodbye to you, and we're going to go over more examples next time. Okay? Bye-bye.